Okay, in the top of NeoSylphid, we have the Protoss player Models, able to take down Nyokin in that last game on Polypoid. I think, I gotta say, it was really good PvT overall. That's really the matchup that I study the most and think about the most, and I think Models followed a lot of the things very well that I think make a strong PvT. So excited to see how he's going to do in this group, but Nyokin is no pushover. I think next time they play, it's going to be maybe going to him. And his opponent down here on the left-hand side of Sylphid, it's StRyKeR. I think StRyKeR has been the strongest up-and-coming player in the NA scene for a while now. He's really come up towards the top overall. A great macro player. I look at him as slightly on the greedy side. At least in Zerg vs. Terran, but that's a good way to play, I think, as well. The best Zergs are generally greedy Zergs. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how his Zerg vs. Protoss goes. I actually don't think I've really watched his Zerg vs. Protoss before, so it should be interesting. All right. So, let's see how this goes. Models going for that scout. Does not have a forge or a gateway as of yet. Looks like he's going to send this down. Now, is this just going to be a forge? It must be based on the timing. You would never make a gateway there. So playing a little bit defensively. You do have the pool. It looks like this was overpool from StRyKeR. Just very standard. Going to go ahead and scout with the drone as well. So quite a bit of scouting going on. Forge does come up here for Models. And hatchery comes down. Okay, so everything looking pretty standard. Of course, Model's going to look at this, know that it's overpool, know what he needs. There's only like one egg being made, so it's not like he's going to be afraid of Zerglings. Going to go ahead, throw that Nexus down, and doubtlessly put down a cannon here next. A little bit of harassment going on from Models. Couple lings popping out. And yeah, I'm just gonna wait a little bit here. Excited to see how these PvZs are different from the ones that we saw from Dragon and from Boa. It felt like, watching the game so far, Boa felt pretty standard. Dragon was definitely a bit stylistic with some of his, like, Corsairless play, and, yeah, that was kind of exciting to see as well. Like, very, very strong on the ground, but might be punished by a really good Mutalisk user. Now, StRyKeR, I think he does very well with Mutalisks in Terran or Zerg vs. Terran. So it makes me think he might be strong with Mutas in this matchup as well. It seems like he tries to play a pretty standard macro-oriented way. So if he just goes into like the layer and Spire and everything, that might force Models into playing more standardly. But as far as I know, Models has pretty good PvC, so we'll see. I don't know exactly what his style is, though. The Cybernetic score coming up. Let's get that gas. Gonna get ready. We'll see if he goes directly into that Stargate. I think he will. Sending some probes to the natural. They're doing loops as they get there, of course, because it's StarCraft 1, and that's what we do. Couple lings just blocking here. We do see the third base location. Kind of interesting. The PvZ that we saw yesterday on NeoSylphid. This was not the location that was taken, but I like this as a third base. It's so easy to SimCity this and make it like impossible to attack in the mid game. So I think that's probably what StRyKeR will be going for. Layer on the way with a pretty normal timing. Yeah, it's looking pretty standard thus far. Ah, the Citadel going down. Okay, so we're actually going to see here from Models maybe a similar build like what we saw from Dragon. That's kind of interesting. With the Citadel going down, like, is it just going to be a rush into DT? Now, the Overlord sees it, and he's already going layer. So do you just go directly into Muta? You know, this is kind of funny because I saw this, like, clip someone made of Hawk doing, like, an interview or something, and Hawk is one of the other top North American Zergs, and he was saying that North American Protosses and foreign Protosses in general don't really fear Mutalisks, so they're more likely to do these types of builds where you actually skip the Stargate. It's kind of funny to see that playing out a little bit. Dragon had some builds that didn't have Stargates. We see models here with a build that clearly doesn't have a Stargate. It looks like, okay, he's going to go for a second gate. We don't see a Templar Archives. I think he's just getting quick Zealot speed. Like, maybe this is a very aggressive build with a lot of Zealots with speed and +1 moving out. But yeah, interesting to see the stylistic differences. Of course, these guys have full ranges of play. They can definitely do Corsair builds. But honestly, it makes them really dangerous to be willing to mix something like this in. This is something you don't really see from many Korean Protosses. Like, who skips Corsair? I feel like I see Shuttle do really strong builds without Corsairs sometimes, and the thing is, I don't watch as many Korean PVZs, right? Like, when I'm watching my free time, I focus more on Terran matches being a Terran player, but just kind of an interesting thing to point out there. Okay, so we do have the Zealots coming across, 4 of them, putting some pressure on. I wonder if he's going to turn around or just commit, because these Zealots are just going to die if he commits, and if he's going into 4-gate, does it do better to save them? Okay, he's really walking forward. I mean, these have to be more lings being made. Spire is done. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, models. Like, if these are mutas being made, well, some of them, they can't all be mutas, obviously. All his gas is used up, so he's definitely making some mutas. Models right now on 4 gates. Okay, he is throwing down a cannon here and throwing down the Templar Archives. So he's going to be able to get some Archons to go with this. But he needs to buy time with these speed lots. Okay, speed is done. 7 of them going across the map. The mutas are actually going for a bit of a counter. The cannon's not quite ready. If you get there before the cannons are warped in, that is a very hurt Protoss. But as the Zealots get up here, he does turn around the mutas. This was such an important attack here from models. If he was not across the map with Zealots right now, that would be a gigantic issue. Now, the mutas come in, and he will be able to kill off these Zealots, but honestly, the Zealots, between keeping the mutas away and killing some drones, they've done very, very well. Now, models should be adding more cannons, and he is. 2 more here. Yeah, he has another 1 here. And we're going to have to see him make a couple Archons, I think, for his next attack. Like, obviously, the mutas can just chase down Zealots infinitely. It takes them a while to kill the Zealots. The Zealots are super fast and everything. And actually, he sends 4 down, and the Ling sees them, which will make the mutas go and chase after. Zealots taking some damage. Models splitting them up right now. StRyKeR going to chase the 2 going down towards the south. The other 2 going more towards the natural, which does have a little bit of static D here. Remaking static D, we see from StRyKeR at his 3rd base. Does have that evolution chamber up. He was making a Hydralisk Den down there, but actually got rid of it. Okay, here's the Hydralisk Den. Never mind. Maybe that's where I saw it, and I saw the evolution chamber here. But a couple Zealots running in. He will be able to deal with these. They do have +1 now, so kind of massacring the Lings, but as that sunken finishes, no big problem right there. Okay, a couple of Archons sitting back. This next attack could be a bit scary. We're going to see what that Mutalisk Micro looks like, or maybe we see StRyKeR just switch it up and go into Hydras. We see like 1 Hydra out right now, not much more than that. Only 5 mutas flying around. Okay, and we see more Hydras popping now, so that kind of points us towards where he's going to be going. I wouldn't be surprised if he has the Lurker upgrade underway. With 2 Archons out, of course, if they get the hits on those mutas, and it looks like they already did. Looks like they already got 2 hits on the mutas, in fact. That's an issue. 2 more will kill all the Mutalisks. So he's got to be careful about that. Oh! That was 1! StRyKeR trying to stay active here with these mutas. The Archon's chasing them down. Now, for those of you wondering, the very, very, very best in the world Mutalisk Micro, mutas can kill Archons. But it is incredibly time-intensive, micro-intensive, and punishing if you screw up. You can see just how ridiculously good Archons are against those mutas, but obviously, it's kind of in the power of the Mutalisk player. All right, getting on top of this Hydraling. Gonna have to move back way too many units from StRyKeR here. Models sitting back, getting his robotics now, so he is going to be able to get into observers for lurkers, which he actually said before the game started that StRyKeR really likes lurker contain on this map, so I'm sure he's already aware of it, getting ready for it right now, pumping out those Dragoons as well. All right, the Archons and Zealots going to get home, so he saves the Archons. I think that's really, really important. Such a powerful unit for your army. StRyKeR just kind of macroing at the moment. All right, a little bit of a push. He can't really engage that right this second. Like, this army is pretty darn good looking, especially when you add in the Psystorms that he's going to have. Model seems to be waiting maybe for an observer, a few more units as well. Throwing down some cannons here over at a possible third base for Models. Now, this is a mineral-only third, so if he does take it, he does need to think about getting a gas base pretty soon as well. Now, the Dragoon's kind of hunting down these mutas, trying to stay active. Couple cannons coming in. He comes down to try to force a cancel there. Just being as annoying as possible with these few mutas. It feels like he has gotten his value out of them overall. It's forced Models to turn around a few times. It's forced him to stay back a little bit. It forced him into making a bunch of cannons. You know, these are all things that, like, maybe you wouldn't have to do these as much if you did go for those Corsairs. But at the same time, look at the strength of his army at this moment. We're 11 minutes in. This army looks deadly. It looks super, super deadly. Against ground units, that is. Now, he did go for +2 attack instead of that +1 armor. Mutas coming up from the side. Not really, it feels like they can't do too much more. Looks like they might pick off a probe that was going to make that 4th, but at least now he knows that Model's thinking about taking a 4th and thinking about taking it here. A third base going to be finishing up relatively soon. Dragoon aggroing the mutas into the cannons, so looks like StRyKeR going to lose all of his mutas. That's all right, though. Those were pretty done anyways. Few Overlords going up the side, probably just for scouting intel. See if any drops are coming in from Models. Yeah, some good amounts of lurkers being made, but map control right now does go to Models, right? So you can't get that lurker contain up as of yet. 4th base is going up. Of course, this is lower mineral patches and lower gas than the other bases. So while this is a very easy one to defend, it's not worth as much. But if you take it as a 4th, it actually times out similar to this base. So it gives you like a very normal mid game, but your late game could actually suffer a little bit because it runs out. Basically, your 4th base runs out a bit quicker than you're used to. Models gonna go ahead, take this base as well. And again, right, 1.5k gas, that's not anywhere near 5k, so it'll be good for a while, but is not a full third gas for too long. Takes 5 minutes to mine it out. Couple cannons gonna slow these Hydras down from hurting this base. Models running up, gonna eliminate them, save that last cannon, just barely so. He really does have a huge army, but a good spread from StRyKeR. A lot of lurkers being created. Have those Hydras as well. All right, is Models going to pull the trigger here? He is up a good 40 supply. But the spread here, like, it looks like StRyKeR is super ready for any attacks. These all look about a Psystorm apart. So it's going to be hard to get splash damage onto those lurkers. Okay, a great storm right there. Couple observers being microed back. Another storm going out. The Zealots charging forward on top of the lurkers. A little flank coming in from a group of Hydras from behind. But Models continues to push forward. Throws down another storm. Some great play here from Models breaking through. More Hydras and lurkers coming up from that southern defense, but a lot of damage was already done to StRyKER's army. Looks like he will be able to push it out with no more Psystorm left over. This army becomes a lot softer. The Hydras not going to be able to be punished, and StRyKER will hold Models off for now. All right. Take a look what's going down here. Models just adding some more gates, keeping his upgrades going. He was really on top of his upgrades in the PvT. I was actually a little surprised to see him get +2 attack as opposed to +1/+1, which people have been doing against Zerg a lot lately to help out with Zealot against Hydra. But he's gone into kind of a Dragoon heavy mode, which in a way makes sense, right? If your opponent is going to be very lurker heavy, that's going to be helpful. Also, he's taking the mineral base, so like this is... Instead of just going like Zealot High Templar to have more goons, less Zealots, kind of, yeah, it feels like it makes sense to a Terran player. Anyways, pushing forward here. Only 4 lurkers. So those, it feels like those were a little bit wasted. All right, a couple Hydras come up and targeted something there. I'm not even sure, but they definitely did not get the kill. It's moving back right now. Some High Templars coming up. Looks like we have 4 Storms available here for models. Very scary army. StRyKeR starting to pick off some of these units. Storm goes down. They do run back. Storm go down on the Hydras. Looks like it is a bit of a flank. Like, I'm not sure how StRyKeR keeps getting these little groups to the side that are messing up the AI for everything. But that is super, super powerful. Now, the High Templars, these 2 going to be picked off. Models sending a few more down. Actually hasn't started mining from his 3rd gas yet, so that's something important he needs to get on top of. Obviously, a lot of micro going down right now. So maybe too much focus on his army, not sure. Looks like another engagement here in the center as Storm goes down. Not too fantastic, but StRyKeR does have to pull back. The Protoss army itself just stronger than what StRyKeR has brought to bear up here. Let's take a look at StRyKeR. Yeah, Defiler Mound on the way. Very well done. The Defiler Mound, obviously, I mean, that's like the end game tech. He's going to get Cracklings out now. And he's going to get Plague and Darkstorm, which are going to help immensely, especially against this kind of Dragoon-heavy composition that Models has been walking around with. It feels like he's been taking some great fights, but as soon as you have Darkstorm or Plague, the Dragoons are going to start falling apart. So that's going to be a little bit tough for him, but he is taking another base. I love the timing of it. He's been trying to bully around the map with his 4, and now he's taking a 5th. Looks like he wants to take this one as well. If he gets this one as well, that's going to be amazing. StRyKeR throwing down another base over at this mineral only location. I think that's totally fine. You're definitely wanting more minerals. Like sometimes we see in ZVP late game, like a 3k gas bank for Zerg, but no minerals left over. So I think it's totally fine for him to be taking mineral bases. You see a few Zealots kind of in an interesting location down here. Maybe for a counter, maybe to deny bases. Maybe gonna have a drop coming up. Not exactly sure what that's all about over there, but Models going to start pushing through. Another little lurker contain. Darkstorm goes down, and of course he does have to back up. StRyKeR running forward. Ooh, he gets a pick on one of the High Templars. Some nice additional micro from him there. Really keeping his money down, but look at the supply differential. Maxed out Models against like a 120 supply StRyKeR. But StRyKeR does have the Defiler unit out. And you guys may have heard the Defiler unit is pretty good and it can change battles a lot. So we have a high energy Defiler here. Running across. Looks like he's going to throw a Darkstorm down and kill this base. We don't... Oh, actually, there's a lot of Zealots. We'll see if he can actually save it. Okay, sends those in. Those do end up dying. Little group of Models army there. Looks like he's going to come up with that flank. Really important. Okay, that was... we saw a little bit of a mess up there from StRyKeR. We see what his idea was. Throw down the Darkstorm, just right-click the Nexus. Cracklings will kill a Protoss building quicker than anything you have ever seen in your entire life. It's like quicker than a DT killing a drone. But... unfortunately, everything gets picked off before he can even really get there. So a little bit of mismanagement, but more Lings coming up now. Does have 1-1 on those, 2-1 on the ranged units. 3-1-1 here for Models. Great Plague does go down. Ooh, a nice Storm upon these lurkers. Look at that. I love it. Models has gotten 2 more bases. He's throwing robos up. I like Models PVZ, man. This looks pretty cool. With the double robo, it looks like he's going to go into Reaver. And, I mean, that's something that Tasis will never shut up about, is that everyone should go Reavers late game against Zerg. So I'm excited to see it. that definitely has to be it, right? Throw a couple of Reavers down to these bases so Darkstorm Zergling can't just end you. All right, a lot of Zealots out on the map. Looks like he wants to do some sort of attack down on some of those bases. Some Psy Storms in the middle. The Model's running around with multiple groups. Going to send these Zealots in. Backing up. Looking pretty darn good. StRyKeR, though, holding on right around 100 supply this whole time. He is starting to get more Defiler usage. See if that's going to work out for him. Unfortunately, losing this base now. That Zealot counterattack doing a lot. Runs up with some lurkers. Does get a decent... oh, that's the first time I've seen a Plagued Egg open into Plagued Zerglings. Very cool. But coming down now with these Defilers, and he's just going to GG. Models gonna take game number 2. All right. Models looking strong right now.